Alright, so this is the part that I've been dreading for a while. We gotta hook up all the utilities, which means a lot of digging. So I'm gonna flip around. I'm just gonna show you what goes into hooking up one of these ADUs. Okay, so here we are at the electric panel. We upgraded this about a year ago. So we got a 200 amp panel here, and we're gonna run 2 sub panels off of this. Now we already have the solar which runs into it. We got a 50 amp spa that runs into there. So basically we're gonna come up here with 2 1.25 inch conduits. We're gonna punch into this wall right here, and we're gonna run our number 2s for those up into the panel. Hook it up. So you can see we've made a mess. So those 2 1.25 inches are gonna run underneath the sewer line here. We got drainage, irrigation, which I cut the irrigation line. So everything's 18 inches deep right here. So electrical is gonna run across there. Now this is where our water main comes into the house. So right there, right in front of the wheel on the Eurovan, you see that water meter. So that's basically where our copper line comes in. It's right here. And then it goes into the house. For some reason it stubs out. Where do they put the drain? So that's where we're gonna make our hookup before we get to the main connection to the house. So it'll be a separate connection. Now, right over here is our sewer. So it goes pretty deep there. And if you go over to, see you got an S right there? That's where your sewer's at. You got a W there, which is your water. So basically, at whatever depth I need so that we maintain a 1/4 inch of fall from the ADU, that's where we're going to make the connection to the sewer. So I'm going to trench back over to this same trench. We're going to run electrical, water, sewer, and then you can see I had to move the fence. Let me stop it right here. Okay, so here's the other side of the fence. That same trench continues over. Got some more drainage lines. So we come right here. There's our sewer stub out on top, our electrical stub out for the ADU. And then we're gonna turn right at this corner here. We're gonna head down this little skinny trench. We're gonna hook up another 1.25 inches that goes, it's gonna LB right into that, which goes into the sub panel to the garage. This little one here, this 3/4, is just for irrigation and low voltage lighting. That's gonna also sit inside. There's our main gas connect. This is cable TV, which I gotta run also from the other side. And then there's our water. Here's one other tip. You know, you're digging 18 inches, especially in any of these Claremont, Kearney Mesa, old riverbed areas. You got a couple options. Obviously you can dig it with a machine, a little mini excavator or a bobcat with backhoe on it, but you're probably gonna tear up your yard quite a bit. The next option would be one of these little 32-pound Makitas, or Hilti makes one with a digging spade. You can do quite a bit of work with one of those. Then the other option would use a dig bar, one of those. That's fine. one of these guys. You can get these at Home Depot. You can do pretty good with that too, but this is my favorite. Causes the least amount of damage. Pretty inexpensive to rent or to buy, and you don't tear up your yard, and you don't break as much pipes, which you're going to break a lot if you're digging around with a mini excavator and you don't know what's in the ground. So now that it's December, you can see that it's getting a little dark on us. I don't actually have power to that garage door. It's just running off an extension cord from the house. But you can see from the trenching, it's not a, easy weekend job. It's pretty extensive, and so quite a bit goes into, you end up tearing up your yard either way. But that's something that you're gonna have to do. So over the next few days, we should get this finished digging, and then I'm gonna start running conduit and gas line, poly pipe, copper water lines, and then we'll get an inspection so that we can get our final underground and then light this place up with utilities. So I'll go ahead and, before I close this video out, I'll post once we get the conduit in and we get close to inspection, then I'll show you everything, how it's all connected, okay? Here we are a week later, and we got all the underground in, and we got signed off today. So before I cover it up, I'll walk you around and show you what the installation, how it ended up, and then talk about a couple things that the inspector mentioned while he was here. So unfortunately, this is what my front yard has looked like for the past 2 weeks. You can see it's pretty tight around here. This is our main trench corridor, where we've got 2 1.25" conduits and then a 1-inch conduit for the cable TV. So the 1.25" one feeds the sub panel to the garage, the other feeds the sub panel to the ADU. And then we've got our type K soft copper water line. Now before we backfill this, we're gonna lift that water line, or as we backfill it, so that it's further away from the sewer. As you can see, this right here is the old copper line that goes, water main that goes into the house. So basically goes into the house, comes up inside the wall, stubs back out, 90s, has a valve, then has a pressure regulator or reducer, then the spigot then goes back in and feeds the main house. This over here is my irrigation. So that's the main irrigation line that stubs off of it. And then this T90 comes up. This is all the new that goes to the ADU. So we got 3/4 inch valve, and we got another pressure reducer because of this comes in before the main system and goes down and then runs all the way to the unit. So here's our main sewer connection. It's going to tap in right there. This is the old line that comes out of the existing residence, main residence. This is our new 3-inch line. So we got clean out here. Up a little bit further, we got the bullhorns. So basically this is, this one we can sweep back into the house. That one we can sweep over to the main line, the street. can see all my irrigation and drainage already in here. Coming around. This is super tight in here. You can see I only had 6 inches to dig right there. And so there's the main connection that we stubbed out at the foundation. Right below that is the main electrical for the ADU that we stubbed out. These two electrical conduits here, the one in the middle and that one to the right, is the cable TV on the right, and then the sub panel for the garage. Basically comes here, LB's up, goes into the sub panel. This little LB right here is just going to be for landscape lights, irrigation timer. There's our gas line. So basically we're holding 15 pounds for the inspection, and then here's the stub out that goes and feeds the ADU. So basically we're gonna have to do a union, put a 90, a valve, and then we can go into that. Here's our cable TV and Ethernet, which will go into the media box in the garage. So I'll have a switch in there with my modems and everything. I'll be able to run security TV in there as well. And then here's the main water for the ADU. So it comes up, 3/4 valve. We transition from the soft copper here. So that's the flexible soft copper. Transitions 90s into a rigid to the valve. Put another spigot, and then it goes into the house. Now the good thing about having a spigot like this is, for some reason you do have a leak or something like that, you close this valve, open that, and you can drain the entire line for the house. And then this went down. Okay, so here's our old meter. This is going to get upgraded. We're going to put a larger meter in here. The inspector just signed off on that, so now SDG&E can come out and do that. And then here's the other line. Goes to the ADU. I just put a 1-inch valve on it for now so that we could do the pressure test. But same thing, that's gonna come up, have a valve, and then tie into the main meter here. So when they redo that, I'll try and have it all set up so we can just do it all at once when they replace this meter. Make sure you have a 14 gauge tracer wire. Usually they're yellow. I just had a bunch of 14.3 left over, so I pulled that red wire out. But that runs all along, and that enables SDG&E or whoever to find that line if they need to once it's buried. So you can see it's wrapped around the riser right there. And there's the sewer hookup. Using the street 45s. Tied in the old one down there with the hose clamp, the rubber one. Same up here. 3-inch Y, 3-inch street 45, regular 45, clean out. Okay, so we got all the conduit in yesterday, and then we got both feeder cables, or sets of feeder cables, pulled. So let me flip this around, I'll just show you what's going on in the main ADU panel. Okay, so this is where our main conduit comes in. It just basically, if you remember from an earlier video, it 90'd up. Comes out right there. Actually, I'm gonna put a bushing, old plastic bushing on here. Protects the wires. And then, so we got 3 number 3 copper, THHN. And so you can see it's the threaded. So basically I went and bought 500 feet of this on one roll, and then we had to roll it out and cut it. So there's actually quite a bit of leg work for that. And then this grain one that comes up is also a THHN, but it's a number 8. And that is basically I have to get another bar, grounding bar, which will go down up here. But your neutrals and your grounds have to be separated on a sub panel. So right here is where our neutral is going to go, and that's going to be this white guy right here. So because all the wires same color, it's all black, came from the same roll, so you mark it neutral. Make sure you mark it before you pull it, because once they're pulled it's kind of difficult to know which one is which. So before you pull them, mark each end, white for ground, red for hot, and then here's our other hot. So these are our main lugs right here. We're gonna go black, red, white goes into that neutral, and then the ground is over here. And this ground is that number 6 solid that we connected to all the gas lines. So on all the fittings of the gas line, grounded it. Our inspector said it wasn't necessary, but it's just an extra safety precaution, and it's actually recommended by the manufacturer. So I'm going to go ahead and put this thing together, and then we'll go hook it up on the main panel. So now we can just go ahead and tighten this bad boy. If you're using aluminum, which is less expensive, it's okay to use for a feeder like this, but you got to use the gel to keep it from oxidizing, because you're mixing metals, right, with your lugs and your wire. And so a lot of guys don't like to use the aluminum because it's bigger. First of all, you gotta usually size up, and then it's also, it doesn't conduct as well. Copper is much better. And then it also, you don't want to, once you connect it, you don't really want to be disconnecting it, reconnecting it, stuff like that, because it'll break the more you mess with it. So that's why a lot of people like copper. I went ahead and went copper just because it's a better material for this. Okay, so I'm going to put the other black in here, and then I'm going to go over to the main panel. Go on. Let's go look at the panel. Let's go. Come on. 12-minute merrimack here, fish and all that stuff underneath. Sewer, main irrigation line. I ended up hitting the cable and the line, so I gotta fix that hole underneath the rain gutter drain. And then here is the other side of that fence. So we came up, these were 2 custom bends which we had to heat, and then we're putting it into this 12-inch NEMA 3 waterproof box or weatherproof box, and then it's going to run up into the main panel. Okay, so we upgraded this panel a couple years ago when we purchased the house, because the original panel was overloaded with all the circuits in the kitchen, the laundry, and so we added this 70 amp breaker here with the right size cable, so that was all safe. We also upgraded the panel from 100 to 200, and then we have a 50 amp breaker for our jacuzzi. This is the new 100 amp circuit for the garage sub panel. This one's for the ADU, which I still have turned off because I haven't connected the neutral or ground in that panel yet. And then this 25 amp is for our air conditioners. This 30 amp is for the solar. So this is what comes in to the solar. So you have a disconnect here. solar panels come down into here, you can turn it off. Because if you're working on the panel, even if you're disconnected here, if you're still connected here to the solar, it could energize that breaker. So, and then the rest of these are just our branch circuits. So that's about it for the panel. You can see these are the new lines that we just put in. Let's see if I can get everything tucked away and then get the panel closed up.